You're listening to Talk Star Wars, a proud member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Check us out on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com and take your first steps into a larger world. Talk Star Wars is a production of Emotionally 14. For fantastic podcasts, video series, blog posts, and much more, visit us on the web at emotionally14.com and enjoy content for the permanently teenaged. Hello there, and welcome to Talk Star Wars, episode 193 from Emotionally14.com. I'm your host, as always, Rob Wade, and I'm joined by the Chewie to my Han. It's Brad Helmer Barnes.
McClunky.
You're going to end me? Why? We're assuming.
I'm still bowled over by that amazing dissection of that one word by Vesuvi last week.
It was very impressive.
A hell of an insight and needs to be added to Wikipedia.
Yeah, I would go with that. I would swing with that. If we can find a way to make that happen, then...
it's verified now.
Yes, indeed.
By two dudes who are on a...
Nothing to do with Star Wars in an official capacity.
We're like enthusiast press.
Yeah, I mean, at a push even. Like, it would be a generous term for it.
Mandalorian looks cool, I guess.
It does look cool, yeah. Just, you know, be cool.
I'm still a Star Wars enthusiast, just in different directions from what Disney is expecting me to be, I think.
Well, you know, who knows? Yeah. I mean, ideally, you'd like to believe, I would think, that ideally they'd want everybody to go and see the films. But certain decisions they've made makes me think, I don't know, maybe. Yeah. It's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see. Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how that pans out for them. Yeah. How's your week been?
Yeah, but my week in Star Wars or my week in general?
Just week in general. It doesn't have to be Star Wars specific. Star Wars can factor in, I'm sure.
It's been fine building up Christmas preparations. We did the Christmas decorations, and small person got very excited about there being because she fell in love with Christmas trees. When she came down one morning, there was just a Christmas tree decorated in the hall, and she was very excited by that.
Wow,
lovely. She's getting into the festive spirit. Mm-hmm. As in, I left her unsupervised for 1 minute. I came back in the room and she was wearing a Santa hat. Obviously. And I'm not even sure where it came from, but she found one and was wearing
There's a door-to-door drive-by service.
Yeah.
I mean, marketing-wise, I don't think door-to-door drive-by is the one to go for, but that's the slogan they've chosen. And, you know.
This is why we don't work in marketing. Well, there's many reasons we don't work in marketing.
Oh, so many. I can't even.
Constantly asked to leave the building, mainly.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, you know. And I don't even know what building I'm supposed to be. Anyway, we can get into it, but my lawyers have instructed me not to. Have you seen? So I don't know if you've seen. So obviously, we were talking. Well, I know you've seen it. This is kind of one of those leading questions I do as a host sometimes. Yeah, I take it you've seen the very recent. At the time of recording, it's like an hour or two. Episode 9 teaser spot.
Yeah, I saw it a couple of hours ago when it first dropped. One of my, I think I just caught it on Twitter. And, no one else from the show clued me into it. Am I doing this right?
Definitely not. Yeah, spot on.
Cool.
Yeah. So for those who are
publicist sent it over to me.
Yeah, that's good.
His name's Gary.
Yeah,
Gary Publicist.
Yeah,
it's a really fortunate surname.
It is good. Yeah, it's from one of those kind of serfdom things where everybody's surname was their occupation, like Mr. Chandler,
Gary Publicist.
Yeah, you know, Raymond J. Cobbler.
Exactly.
I don't know. There's other occupations, I'm sure, but those are the kind of ones that spring to mind.
Anyway, I'm not allowed to work in a barn.
No, that's also fair. I mean, you left the door open. I mean, that's the reason the phrase exists. Yeah.
I mean, and you work best in a short body of water.
There is that. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah. I thought the teaser was very cool. I'm gonna.
Yes, the first half more intriguing than the second. The second half was kind of like a highlight reel of the Fury Road stuff we've already seen. But that opening bit was amazing.
It's very cool. So I'm conscious of the fact that people are calling it spoilery. So I won't go into too much depth, but it's got Kylo in it. Yeah, you know.
I question official source can be called spoilery, so don't they want you to see it?
Well, on the one hand, yes, but at the same time, right, the way I would kind of differentiate it is You remember? You've seen, I know you have, because I watched it with you, Terminator Genesis.
You just said that. Yes. Terminator Genesis. I've seen Terminator Genesis that one time. Yeah. And people were kind of talking over it. So, but yeah, I have a loose impression of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but wouldn't I... So I maintain that the film would have been slightly more exciting, I think, if you didn't know going in that one of the villains was John Connor as the kind of... So spoilers for Terminator Genesis. Obviously, you've had years, and this is kind of the point I'm making, so I can't avoid it because it's very pertinent to my point of view.
My brain went in a totally different direction. I thought you were going to say, I thought it would have been a more effective plot twist if you went in still not being sure if Matt Smith was in it or not.
That might, I mean, it seems to be working because everybody's, everybody talks about it every now and then,
Yeah.
So, I feel like I remember thinking it was very strange that they put that in the second trailer. The fact that John Connor was the villain of the piece, or a villain. I can't remember if he's the only one. It's been a while.
Yeah.
But I thought that was odd and a bit of an odd choice that I actually wasn't that on board with. So that felt to me like a spoiler because it was quite a big story point.
Yeah.
Maybe there's the thing. The Star Wars one feels, I get less of that vibe from it because it sort of feels like, it's an important part of the story in that it confirms, or denies certain things. Mm-hmm. But I don't necessarily know that that's going to be a grand part of the overall narrative. Because we have no idea what this film's going to be about beyond the bits and pieces.
Star Wars, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's, a fairly safe bet, I think.
I think the reason Terminator did it is the Terminator franchise is almost, in fact, it's pretty much unique in that it's the only series you can be a fan of and simultaneously wish that there was less of it.
I don't fall out with that.
The Terminator franchise is like, if it was a series of dates, it's two really, really hot dates.
Right.
And then on the third date, after the meal, they just vomited on themselves uncontrollably.
And carried on.
And then you decide to give them another chance, and they're trying really, really hard to make you forget about that date where they vomited on themselves. And yet, every time they burp a little bit, you're worried that it's all just going to come back up again.
That is... I don't quite know what to say about that. That is one of the most bizarre...
bizarre yet accurate.
Yeah, that's it. You're bang on. But your brain terrifies me sometimes.
This is why we have a long-standing working relationship.
Well, there is that, yeah.
Yeah.
And friends, too.
That, the sex is good.
Yeah, it's been known. I meant the Friends bit, to be clear. Just cycle back a few seconds. That's all right.
Okay, yeah.
That's fine.
Retcon.
Yeah, people can, slash fiction can still exist. It's fine. Leave it open. Leave the speculation open. Anyway, to kind of steer clear of being too spoilery about what the contents of the teaser, just in case people are... Yeah, just in case people are going in completely dry.
Our impression, we're going to do a Vesuvi style spoiler-free roundup of the trailer, people.
Yes.
It's really atmospheric and dark at the start.
Yep.
The music is very evocative of several key moments that we have seen before, and it works very well. Mm-hmm. Certainly some unification across all the earlier films is implied in this opening sequence.
Yes.
And it made me more excited for this film than anything else I've seen so far.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. And one of the things I will say about it, that this is not a spoiler, especially, when I say it, the music is absolutely on point for that bit.
Yeah, totally.
If there's one, this is the thing, I've been thinking about this a lot, mainly because, and this is kind of almost like a public service announcement from TSW here, there is a, pretty thorough rumoured plot leak doing the rounds.
Yep.
And the soundtrack is fully available online.
Yep.
And there are ways and means with the magic of internet to figure out the track names because they haven't done as good a job of hiding them as they think they have.
Yes.
But so I've been kind of, I've picked up bits and pieces from there, and they've made me apprehensive about this film.
Yeah.
Right. And not to say that it's going to be a complete waste of time or blah, 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 or the greatest film I've ever seen. I'm going to try my best to kind of keep an open mind as much as I'm possible to do. But it has made me apprehensive. That being said, the one thing I can say for sure, and this was just reaffirmed by the teaser, is that the music is always going to do it for me.
Yeah, totally.
And not to by any means kind of detract from the music that's been done for the other films, which is not John Williams, but there's something about John Williams' Star Wars music, even, at my most critical of it, which I think is Last Jedi because it feels like a best of, it's still the best of wonderful music.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so I kind of, that's kind of the best explanation I've got for it. So before we move into Vesuvi's first message, I just want to say thank you to...
You're welcome.
To you as well. Because obviously you were my, what's the word? We were back and forth on this last week. Yeah, that seems fair.
That's what I put you over on my business plan. Yeah.
Yeah. I've always wondered what it said.
Yeah. It did say FWB, but apparently I had to cross that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seems fair.
Yeah.
I wanted to say thank you to... I've had a lot of... So it probably goes without saying that last week's show took a bit of a weird turn about halfway through.
Yeah, it was fun for me too.
Yeah, and I'm sure, I think, if nothing else, I try to, whenever I'm on the air, I try to be, if nothing else, engaging and interesting to listen to, and hopefully people appreciate my opinions, even if they don't agree or enjoy them. Because I try my best not to be too dismissive or anything like that of others, and I kind of hope for the same in return, as is my want and as is, I think, fair. But I just wanted to say thank you to... I've had a lot of people kind of reach out to me behind the scenes and give me lots of support about the stuff I said. So it's kind of a sign of the times, but also probably me overthinking and overanalyzing that I was in two minds about whether or not, I kind of... The conversation we had, especially around sort of social media and the modern kind of discourse, it was very touch and go as to whether or not I was going to even talk about it. But it just kind of happened organically, and I thought, you know what, that's probably the best way for it to occur is just kind of that organic conversation. Because I remember the conversation we were having, I know where I was going before I got sidetracked. I remember it. I was going to ask, because I started talking about the Snyder Cut of Justice League. I was going to ask if there was a 5-hour Lucas cut of Star Wars, what absolute extra stuff of varying degrees of quality would you imagine would be in there? That was my kind of...
Oh, wow, I like the sound of this.
I was about to kind of...
a 5-hour trilogy cut or a 5-hour movie cut?
5-hour New Hope cut.
Oh, wow.
Because we'd just come off a conversation about... I think we'd just come off a conversation about McClunky or something along those lines.
Nice. And I imagine it would be more like for radio drama.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, but that was it. That was in my head, that was what we were about to... I was about to kind of ask to try and to see if there was going to be a conversation going out of that. And then I just kind of went down the other track instead. And, we convey more than a bit, I would say. It's fair to say.
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
But I just wanted to kind of, express my gratitude to those who kind of sent me messages behind the scenes just to say, that they appreciated it, because I was genuinely worried that,
Blake listens, that's good.
Yeah. Among others. We have wondered where he's been, which is sweet. So, but thank you to everybody who kind of sent me messages behind the scenes, whether that's kind of, text or Twitter or Instagram. I got some on there as well, just all over the place. Just, much appreciated. And it means more than words can say, certainly by this ineloquent mofo behind the mic, stumbly as I am over my words at the best of times. And, not least of all when
right now,
late Thursday hits and I tired.
It happens.
Yeah, exactly. But it was nice it was kind of gratifying that nobody took it as anything other than what it was intended, which is just kind of, venting some frustrations in what I felt was a constructive manner and trying to encourage people to be the best versions of themselves.
Yeah.
Anyway, our first message is from Vesuvi, who writes, "Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Brad.
You're welcome, Vesuvi.
This is for TSW 192.
Mm-hmm.
In one of the
Was
recent...
that the last one?
Most recent one, yeah. So we're in 193 now. Coming up to 200. Impressive, really.
We should celebrate.
I know, yeah. Big Game of Rebellion, maybe?
Yeah, well, I was going to say Party Poppers, but Rebellion sounds better.
Yeah, I think Party Poppers are good. I mean, and I'll just have to remember not to edit them out.
Yeah, cool.
When I'm going through in post-production going, what is that?
Can we fly Carlos over for him to join the game?
I will look into it, but likely not, but I'll try it.
We might have to freight him then. Okay.
Yeah, freight works. So Vesuvi writes, in one of the recent chapters of The Mandalorian, speeder bikes were utilised. They're in the trailer, so I won't consider that a spoiler. Funny, we just had that conversation.
Yeah.
I've heard numerous fans erroneously describe them as swoop bikes. But as you and many of the listeners probably are aware, swoops are a more powerful variant. Thus, all swoops are speeder bikes, but not all speeder bikes are swoops.
Correct.
The ones in question were ordinary speeder bikes, substantiated by dialogue delivered by the Mandalorian himself. It made me wonder, are there any mislabeled designations commonly applied in the Star Wars fandom that amuses either of you? If so, please elaborate in the hilarious way I know you can. Keep elevating the discourse. Vesuvi, Knight of the Commonwealth.
Okay.
So this is a hard one.
You emailed me, didn't you?
I did, because normally...
You don't normally.
Normally, we kind of... I get sent the stuff and I assemble it all, and there's very, very rare that I forward one on saying you might want to give this one a little thought ahead of time, because
very rare. I believe this is the first instance.
Maybe it could well be. It could be that rare. Yeah, it's hard to say for sure.
To just be ready with my cat-like reflexes.
Yes, indeed. But I sent this one over to you because I thought this is the kind of thing that might need a little more prep. Prep. So I came up with one.
Back now. Okay, yeah.
Everybody calls the planet Yavin.
Yes,
but it's not.
No,
they don't. They refer to it as Yavin when it's actually Yavin 4.
Yeah, which implies that the sun is Yavin.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like that's kind of, it's a minor one, but at the same time,
well, Endor has exactly the same issue.
Exactly.
It's the forest moon of Endor. But Endor, I don't mind them referring to it as the Battle of Endor, because it was still a battle in the Endor system.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But yeah, when these casuals refer to it as Endor, that does grate a little. I mean, there are other ones. I mean, like Anakin refers to himself as a Jedi Master. We all know that he should have just taken the seat. Yeah,
this is it. He should have taken the L and just gone with it, and just kind of looked at it as an opportunity to
But a lot of dead kids.
Yeah. Fair few. I mean, I'm trying to think. I'm much like when we get asked these questions. I'm scrubbing through the films right now.
That swoop bike eye twitch that Vesuvi got is a wonderful piece of nerddom that we all do when someone gets minutiae wrong, and it shouldn't.
Yep.
You shouldn't let it bother you.
Yep.
But it does.
Yep. When did it last? I'm trying to think when it last happened to me.
But it's like you can't correct these people, because if you correct them over this, then you're the Sarlacc hole in all of this.
Yeah, exactly.
The other 6 months was being about 16, and this guy talking to me about the Monty Python film Life of Pete he saw at the weekend.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there going, don't say anything.
Life of Pete. Yeah.
It was about. He's being positive about a movie he enjoys.
It was about mud, right?
Don't be the Sarlacc hole here. Yeah. Just talk to him about the film he saw. Don't. It's not going to improve his day.
No.
You tell him he got the name wrong.
Yeah. I know what you mean. It's like, but then it is tough. I'm trying to think. Like I say, I'm scrubbing through my brain simultaneously twofold. I'm doing 2 separate search algorithms here. I'm trying to look for the stuff that Vesuvi asked about.
Yeah.
But I'm also trying to think, when is the last time that happened to me?
Oh, okay.
And what did I do? And I think the answer is I did nothing, and just kind of, just kind of seethed.
But then there's always a little bit of your brain going, are they testing me?
Yeah.
I waiting to see if I'm going to say something.
Yeah, they're doing it on purpose. They're messing with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm trying to think, It would have probably almost certainly been something on Twitter, because it's usually, I mean, in social media wise, that's where I spend the majority of my time anyway, out of all of them. Reddit, a little bit of Reddit, although I've taken the app off my phone recently because I find myself going down the Reddit hole if I'm not careful and just kind of browsing and aimlessly for hours.
Easily done. I mean, you're like, I can't believe there's a subreddit for that. And then, you know.
Yep. And then it's like, I can't believe there's a porn subreddit. And then I'm like, why can't I believe that?
Why can't I believe that?
Totally accurate. You know, it's totally reasonable and within the realms of possibility, bearing in mind that people exist inside that subreddit, that somebody would have done a spin-off.
Some of these are random letters. I mean, BDSM and SFW could stand for anything.
Yeah, this is it. If you don't, it's one of those things, isn't it? It's like a secret club. If you don't know,
you know about the secret club. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're not. Are we? I can't remember. Is that one of the rules? Are we supposed to? I can't remember. I don't know.
One of my favourite jokes.
Who keeps track?
Yeah.
But but like Star Wars wise, I'm trying to think. Like I say, I'm trying to go back to.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, there's the Kessel Run thing that's been retconned.
Yeah,
but then that's kind of
in a clever way. I quite like that. It was like a fan theory that got canonized, I guess.
But it's also like a retcon that the one they've done, much like the retcon that the exhaust port on the Death Star was deliberately sabotaged. That works for me because it takes nothing away from the original films. And I'm good, you know, I like stuff like that where it's kind of fan service in a way that doesn't detract from the original movies. Why I'm kind of, it's one of the things that's got me apprehensive about Episode 9. Because obviously, you know, we've seen, it's not a spoiler to say, if you've seen any of the trailers, that the voice of Palpatine appears in the trailers.
More extensively than was originally implied. We were sat there for about 6 weeks going, it'll be a holocron recording or something. And as more's gone on, it appears that Palpatine is a more significant part of this film than even Ian McDiarmid said. In some form that's kind of yet to be determined. Yeah.
But, you know, that's one of the things that's kind of made me a little bit apprehensive is like, well, you know, there's a way to do this stuff, and the way to do this stuff is not in a way that completely undoes Anakin's arc.
Yeah, and as I've said, and I still believe, I would be more concerned if it wasn't J.J. Abrams. I trust J.J. Abrams' devotion to the original trilogy and to, let's just say, the prequel trilogy. His love and respect for that was so obvious. In Force Awakens, that movie was made with nothing but reverence and a little bit of photocopying of the original trilogy, and knowing how seriously he took all that stuff, I have faith in him not to just steamroller over it.
I'm hopeful
if he
in
does,
the same way.
I'll find out where he lives.
Yeah, I mean, Hollywood is the best I've got so far. Closest.
I mean, you know, you can find people.
Yeah, it's like people can be found. This is true. I mean, I'm not suggesting that we're going to, because I mean,
no. I mean, if the movie doesn't suck, I've got no problem.
Well, even if it does, I feel like we're kind of, you know, I think he's safe.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty ripped.
I didn't even mean that. I just meant we're not likely to actually do anything beyond just get a bit miffed.
That'd be amazing if we come back at the end of January with another episode. It's like, so Brad, I hear the crap beaten out of you by J.J. Abrams.
I mean, you know, stranger things have happened, right? I mean, Turbus the Porg is canon now, so...
Is he actually?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
the name was confirmed in in one of the Star Wars comics.
Oh, okay.
I forget which one. Yeah, it's cool. I was pleased for them. You know, because that's one of those things, like, it's a bit of fun, and it doesn't, you know, it's not like they were kind of trampling on an existing name that was really, you know, it's not a thing before. No. It wouldn't have been a thing had they not said anything.
No, and it was a good name anyway.
Yeah, so exactly. It's not.
It's a good Star Wars sounding name.
Yeah, exactly. So they did well. And by they, of course, I mean the story group. Of course, definitely.
Yeah.
No, definitely not. You know, the people who did the work to make it work. But yeah, obviously everybody knows who we're talking about, so that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to, like I say, I'm really struggling to think of any more beyond, it tends to be planet stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah. Slightly related, I guess. One of the things that annoy me is when people trot out things that they think are clever plot holes they've spotted, which aren't plot holes.
Such as?
It's non-Star Wars, the most famous ones is why didn't they just take the Eagles to Mordor, which is explained away in the book and in the film, but people still bring it out like they're the first person to have noticed.
Right.
And that annoys me. And the Star Wars one that annoys me is people seem to think it's a plot hole that the Empire get to Cloud City before the Falcon does.
Right.
When it's sort of the Boba Fett follows them and the Empire can get there ahead of them because the Empire have a working hyperdrive and the Falcon doesn't.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, and even get the cloud cars are keeping them delayed.
Yeah.
So this stuff is all in there. People think it's.
You think they think they've spotted something.
Yeah. I mean, there is the plot hole in A New Hope, which it doesn't ruin any film. It just makes me go, just kind of chuckle and ruffle Star Wars hair. Is that inside half an hour, C-3PO forgets who Princess Leia is.
Hang on.
Because on board the Tantive 4, he says there'll be no escape for Princess this time.
Yeah.
When he sees the hologram of Leia, Luke says, who is she? And he says, I don't know, a person of some importance, I believe.
Oh, yeah. That's interesting. I never really thought about it. That makes sense. Yeah. I suppose so. I mean, obviously,
Interesting.
Yeah.
You went very posh and like junior Ganymede gentleman's club there.
Well. Yeah, I love it. Well, that's jolly nice. Yeah. In terms of... I don't necessarily think there are as many plot holes as people like to believe. Like you said, there's stuff where people have kind of are trying to just feel kind of jolly clever by pointing out something that they think nobody else has spotted, and actually it's just because it's nothing of consequence, rather than because it's actually just... I mean, not for nothing, but these movies have been out for 40 plus years. It's very unlikely that even if you do spot something that's legitimately busted, that you're the first person who's ever spotted it. You might just be the first person who's tweeted about it with, with the hashtag, I can't believe they missed this, or whatever the kids do nowadays. I don't know. They do Vines or,
Vines and
angry.
Vero. Is Vero still a thing?
I think, sure. I think so. I have no idea.
Okay, no idea.
Yeah, I don't really keep up with
Instagram.
Instagram's still
I
a
think
thing.
I stopped Instagram. I'm aware of Snapchat, and it looks awful to me.
I had Snapchat for a brief period, and then it just... I remember what happened. I used to have a Windows phone, and...
Sorry to hear that.
I was all right. I was fine. It was all the... it was a certain amount of stability that Apple versus the flexibility of Android, except with none of the apps of either.
Yeah.
So you had to make do with third-party stuff, and they had a third-party Snapchat app, which did the job of allowing me to see messages people sent me. And then they got some bad press, Snapchat, because people were using other applications, not this one, but they were using other applications which allowed you to save the pictures that were being sent to you. Now, a lot of people were using Snapchat for sexting. And so... obviously, they were sending pictures that they might not have necessarily wanted the person to be able to keep. And they were able to keep them. So Snapchat got some bad press and then blocked all third-party API access for Snapchat applications, which meant that because there was no official Snapchat app on Windows Phone, then I was suddenly without Snapchat, which was fine. I wasn't really using it much. So once it was, even now that I've got an Android phone, I don't find myself going back to it. So...
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it seems to be. It's the way someone described it to me. It's a photo app that deletes your photos after so much time has passed. I can do that just using my own memory. Yeah,
it's like the best way to explain it with using something you'll be familiar with is in Instagram story.
Yeah.
After about 24 hours you can't see it anymore.
Yeah,
same thing.
Yeah, I don't use them that much.
No, likewise.
I use them for the shows. If we're doing a convention or something, I'll do them because I know that then jumps to the top of people's news feeds.
Yeah.
But no, generally, I don't use them on my own personal one or anything, or not that often.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I've never done it, but it's not my first instinct when I use Instagram.
I wish you could turn them off. I hate them.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't want it to be 2 weeks in a row where we talk about social media, but just that's the only thing I would change about Instagram is I would turn off the ability. I would just give myself the ability to not have them appear because I don't take an interest. They just gum up, And then I get hundreds of the bloody things I have to skip through because people have got nothing better to do all day, it seems.
Yeah. It also seems to be a lot of people with dog noses and ears and stuff.
Yeah, putting filters and stuff on.
Which is a weird thing to me that adults are doing this.
Yeah, to be clear, when you say people with dog ears and noses, you mean filters, right?
Filters, yeah. It's
not like a sort of weird niche thing.
No, it's not,
or any kind of
sort of weird 1920s carnival app.
Yeah. Well, I mean, kind of.
Yeah, not deliberately. And I see adults doing this, and I'm like, surely, at the absolute most, this is funny once.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's like that.
Every one of your selfies, you've got bunny ears on, and I'm like, man,
really?
Is this what we're doing now?
Apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy the functionality exists if they want to use it, but it seems like an odd choice to me. But I certainly wouldn't be.
No, I've never felt the need to do that.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's a very weird thing. Tinder was another one that passed me by.
Well, I mean, that's fair because you're married.
Well, yeah, I've been in a long-term relationship since 2005, so... Yeah. But it was only when I got a new job and started working with some younger people who were using Tinder that I even became aware it was a thing.
Yeah.
Is it available on Kindle Fire? Because I feel like the advertising copyrights itself.
I would imagine it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't personally have a Kindle Fire, and obviously I am,
Yeah,
I've been in a long-term relationship, and thus,
no judgment on anyone who does use Tinder. It's just not something I've used.
No, as a non-single person, I would expect that. That's fine.
It seems a super weird thing to me that's people are like window shopping for people.
Which I can understand it because even like normal internet dating has a bit of that to it. Because if you're not vaguely attracted to somebody, you won't click in to read further, which makes sense.
Yeah,
but it's the lack of anything alongside the picture that I find weird. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, I've never used it. I may just be talking, I may be out of a tree on this one. It may be like, no, there's loads of text in the app. What are you talking about? I have no idea. I caveated with that about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, but so many people just seem to be desperate to be farmyard animals in these things.
Yeah.
And I don't get it, man. But,
yeah,
you do you.
Weird world.
Or don't do you. Do a weird mammalian version of you.
Anyway, in case it hasn't become apparent by the fact we're spinning our wheels, I haven't got any more of these examples of things that have been mislabeled in Star Wars.
It was another exciting episode of Star Wars.
Star Wars, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's short for talk.
Yeah.
Largely including Star Wars.
Yeah. That's...
Anyway, let's steer it back to Star Wars.
Of our autobiographies.
Yeah, let's steer the conversation back to Star Wars with
let's do that.
Vesuvi's spoiler-free Resistance Roundup.
And you can guarantee that at some point later on the show, I'm just going to go, I thought of another one, and then you can dive back in.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean I'm good with that.
I will do that.
One might think the title of this episode might refer to Kaz's propensity to find himself in trouble, but Kaz's curse is really about gullibility and overcoming it.
Right.
It begins with Kazuda playing a game of chance with some of the Warbird gang in Aunt Z's tavern. His beginner's luck, combined with hubris, irritates them, especially Leo's, to the point of taking preternatural action to take him down a peg. That might be the first time I've ever said the word preternatural correctly the first time.
Okay.
And then went and did it again.
Hey!
Although Kaz professes not to be superstitious, a jinx is the last thing one wants when trying to navigate a jam-packed asteroid field on the edge of Guavian death space.
I've always said that.
I think it's one of the... Was it Mother Teresa who first said that?
Yeah.
I think that's plenty enough for your preamble, but I will add that we get to see a little more of Mika Gray.
Cool.
Yeah, nice. So when that eventually makes its way to the UK, I look forward to it.
Yeah.
Because currently on digital, it's not there at all.
Hey.
Yep. And then she's
some comics. They'll tide us over. It's fine.
Absolutely. So she's also been kind enough to include a Mandalorian morsel for episode 5.
Awesome.
We'll revisit a familiar locale in Chapter 5, where you'll see pit droids, among other nostalgia.
Okay.
You'll also meet a funny old biddy by the name of Peli Motto, portrayed by the brilliant Amy Sedaris. She might become my new spirit animal. Oh, I can believe it, actually, yeah. That is a good pick. Plus, you'll get to know a wannabe upstart called Toro Calican, played by the adorable Jake Cannavale, who I've been crushing on since seeing him in Nurse Jackie 2012.
Miss Doris.
I do think... she plays Princess Caroline in BoJack Horseman.
Okay, yeah, I'm trying to see if I recognise her. She's familiar looking?
Yeah, she's in stuff. I couldn't point to any one thing that she's really, really famous for. She's just in a lot of different things, and she's very funny.
Okay.
I do think we get an official name for the bleak world we saw in chapters 1 and 3, if I'm not mistaken, Navarro. If I say any more, it might be too much, so I'll just end by commenting that I think Dave Filoni delivered a smorgasbord of fan service in this one. I hope you find it delicious when you finally get to see it. Nice. Well, Vesuvi, as always, we very much appreciate your attempts to keep us in the loop in a light and non-committal way.
She's in a lot of stuff I've seen, but like once or odd episodes of shows I watch, which is why she's familiar, but I can't really place her.
I know what you mean.
Who's the other person you mentioned? Jake Cannavale or Cannavale?
I think it's Cannavale. Yeah.
Yeah, Cannavale just sounds like something you'd buy to take down the park, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're trying to live your life that way, I guess.
Well, you know me.
Well, I do know you. That's true. Yeah.
Best known for Nurse Jackie in The Mandalorian. Well, that's really helpful.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's pretty much what we've just been establishing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vesuvi, thank you very much for that. Now, before we move on to further questions, I got sent this email from a company the other day, and it's a weird one, but I just thought it was quite delightful, and so I thought that I would talk to you about it. So,
okay,
I got sent this by a company called Insure the Gap. Now, I'm going to kind of preface this and caveat by saying that it is an insurance company who've produced this, and it is... I think it's fair to say pretty clearly a marketing exercise, but I thought it was an interesting one. It's entertaining, and so I'm kind of happy to have a read. So apparently they are Star Wars fans around the office because they're only given.
But yeah, who isn't?
Well, exactly. So they've taken a stab at insuring or estimating the cost of insuring some of the most iconic ships in all of Star Wars. Now, I thought a bit of fun we could have is I could give you the name of the ships.
Okay.
And you could give me I'll give you an exemplar of one of them. And I'll give you the kind of the guess that they've given. And then I will ask you a few more and we'll see kind of how close you can get to.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, bearing in mind, obviously, I've sent you the link, but I am hoping that you're going to be...
I'm not looking.
Good stuff. Okay, so let's find... I'm trying to think...
drop a jingle in there.
I'm trying to work out what's a good one to start with. A good kind of... I'm looking for a sort of mid-range one. All right, TIE Advanced X1. So Darth Vader's TIE, for those who aren't familiar with the model designations. They estimate £112,900.
For just third party?
Actually, I should probably check the criteria here.
Or should I just go higher, lower?
It just says insured, so I'm guessing
let's just go fully I guess higher or lower than that.
Yeah, fine. Okay.
Yeah, does that sound doable?
112,900 for the TIE Advanced X1.
Okay, 112 for the TIE. I'm just going to write this down.
Okay. So their factors in this are the cost of the risk of adding a hyperdrive.
Okay, yeah. This is actually pretty involved.
Easy to get wrong.
Well, then they're obviously know that TIE fighters don't have hyperdrives and the TIE Advanced does, so they're obviously more devoted than your average Star Wars fan.
I think it's fair to say they are fans.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me. So, oh wow, this is quite an old article. That's interesting.
Call it 113 for the TIE Advanced.
113,000, that works. Okay.
Yeah.
X-34 land speeder, this is an easy one.
Oh, considerably less.
Yeah. £544 is their estimate.
That's incredibly cheap.
Yeah, I think that's a bargain. If I had an X-34 and there are steps in place to stop me, but I would have...
science mainly, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's that. But I think I would be inclined to go for that at that price. That's cheap. I think that's not that much different to my car that I drive now. So the only thing I'm finding interesting is 19-year-old Luke. He strikes me as somebody who'd be an insurance risk in a speeder that can go 150 miles an hour. When I was 21 when I first started driving properly, and my insurance was twice that. The only thing I can assume is Tatooine might be a cheaper place to get insured on because there's lots of open space.
I guess so.
I mean, I guess if you're just kind of driving around on big sort of desert planets, you don't run into much stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to kind of think about, because I guess Star Wars, as all the stuff that's kind of land-based, wouldn't run into much. So there's not going to be as many possibilities for crashes, I wouldn't have thought.
You think?
You think about Coruscant, and there's loads of traffic there.
The traffic control on that is just so weird.
It's very strange. But, the fact that it exists says to me, that people have obviously, what's the word? There's some sort of control in place that says to me that it's going to be, they showed it in the film. Obviously, the traffic's all kind of, it's traveling in three-dimensional space. Yeah. So, the likelihood of them crashing into something is very, very low. Mm-hmm. Okay. T-65 X-Wing Starfighter.
Higher than the land speeder, cheaper than the TIE Advanced.
Oh, interesting. It's actually more than the TIE Advanced.
Really?
Nearly twice as much.
That's not a prototype.
Yeah, 217,000.
Really? What's their reasoning for it being more expensive than a TIE Advanced?
Pretty standard when it comes to modifications. Being a Rebel and a Jedi Knight, however, are pretty risky occupations, adding quite a hefty extra onto the overall costs.
They factor in occupation?
Yes, they do, yeah.
And in infinite wisdom, they have decided that Freedom Fighter is a considerably more dangerous job than Emperor's personal assassin.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
and let's not forget Evil Wizard.
Yeah, well, let's not forget corridor scene in Rogue One.
Yeah.
As if we ever could, but...
Well, I guess he's not in any real danger of getting hurt, is he?
No, this is it.
I mean, there's a certain amount of damage. You'd be lucky to hurt Darth Vader, and a better term, he's more machine than man. You'd be lucky to damage Darth Vader in any meaningful way anyway, through his combination of force powers, fighting style, and the fact that he's mostly robot.
Yeah.
And there's probably even less damage you could do to him that couldn't be fixed with a quick trip to Halfords.
Yeah, I mean, imagine so. I mean, I would guess... Does it strike you that they'd have the parts in stock if he calls? Sort of feels like you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I mean, if not, they could probably bit of body filler and some black primer and he's away.
Yeah. I mean, whether he'd be happy with that, who knows? But obviously, you'd know very swiftly if he wasn't happy with it because somebody'd be dead.
There was actually... have you been reading Vader Dark Visions?
I've not, no. I'm not up to speed on that.
Yeah. Issue 3 of that has a kind of related story and possibly one of my favourite Darth Vader stories.
Oh, wow, okay. High praise
really
indeed.
Good. Yeah, no, it's very, very good.
Yeah.
But yeah, part of that is about keeping him maintained in between operations.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's a trip to Halfords, isn't it?
Yeah, but he's got a bit of body primer and spray primer.
I hate these long lines.
I'm surprised with the T-65, but I didn't really factor in that they'd also consider your occupation.
Yeah, I suppose they do take it when you get a car insured over here. They ask you what your occupation is.
Yeah,
but I suppose.
If you say, I'm a rally driver.
Yeah, but also I suppose if you're Luke Skywalker, you are technically using it for work as well.
Yeah, well, it's tax deductible then, I guess.
Yeah, it's not just... Yeah, you probably get the fuel cost back.
You probably need cargo insurance and stuff, do you?
But at the same time, I feel like he would, get a little bit more risk out of that, and it also adds on to the mileage estimate.
Yeah.
Wear and tear is kind of a factor. But then I suppose not for insurance purposes, so it's tricky.
I don't think Rebel Alliance probably pays their taxes anyway, to be honest with you.
Wow, they've got a methodology here. I might give you a read of that in a bit.
Okay.
Sababa's Pod Racer should be a relatively straightforward one.
Higher than the land speed and not as high as either of a starship, surely.
Totally fair. Comes in at 9,500.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Obviously, pod racing is very dangerous.
It's not carrying ordnance. It's only trained people using it.
Yeah.
So, you know.
True. And I just chuckled because there's a really nice phrase that's just delightful in this. So, they're talking about Sababa's Pod Racer, heavily modified, his two engines cobbled together, etc. Our bet is that he wouldn't have received a single credit after his crash in the Phantom Menace either, which probably serves him right.
I just love it. Imagine if your insurance claim came back saying, well, sucks to be you.
Yeah, well, exactly. Shit happens.
Yeah.
Katana.
Yeah, someone backed into me. I was parking. Well, sorry that happened to you, nonce.
Katana. So Jabba's sail barge. Apparently.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know it had a name, but there you go.
I find it unlikely he would insure it, what with him being a criminal and all.
It's an estimate. It's not a...
Okay, right. This isn't actually an actual document. It's just a...
No.
What if for Jolly Japes, Jabba the Hutt did decide to insure his sail barge?
This is probably one of the more surprising ones for me.
Well, see, it's carrying a lot of passengers.
Sure.
Apparently, I now have to factor in his job, which is, crime lord.
Yeah, intergalactic gangster is the way they've termed it.
Conversely, I think the mileage is probably relatively low.
I think that's fair to say.
It actually goes out all that often. And when it does, where does it go to? The Jungle and Wastes, maybe.
Dunety, that's about it.
Yeah, he's not taking it into Mos Espa, though, is he?
No, totally not. I mean, where would you park it?
He's got other people to do that for. I'm assuming when you see him in Mos Eisley in A New Hope, he hasn't taken the whole sail barge there.
No, that would be mad. I mean,
that's like his barbecue party boat.
Yeah, that exactly right. That's how I kind of think of it as well.
It's essentially a yacht, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
So maybe comparable to the TIE Advanced, I'm thinking.
Wow, okay. It actually came in, according to their estimates, at half the price of Sir Bulba's Pod Racer.
Oh, wow, okay.
5,500. They liken it to...
don't care if half the people on it die.
They liken it to a giant floating pub.
It is, yeah.
Complete with bands and giant cannons. That sounds like some of the best pubs I've ever been in. Manned,
and you have one barmaid who's an astromech spy, apparently.
Yeah, indeed. Right, I'm trying to remember which ones we've done. Slave 1.
Slave 1, probably the highest, actually. It's probably higher than the X-Wing.
Okay, so that is not higher than the X-Wing. But not by much.
Well, that's a dangerous profession. He's carrying cargo and passengers and ordnance.
Yeah.
And his mileage has got to be incredibly high. He's surrounded by people likely to try and steal it. Mm. I mean, I'd put quite a high... If it's not a high premium, it's quite a high excess. I'll say that much.
That's fair to say. I think that they don't talk about excess, but I think that's fair. There's probably implied.
Yeah.
169,000 as an aside.
Well, he's done well.
So this is the highest. So I'm going to spoil this for you. This is the most expensive one, but when I read it, you'll understand instantly why.
The Executor.
CR90 Corvette.
I mean, it is a big red target, isn't it?
Yes, there is that.
Yeah.
It doesn't mention that as a...
He's also the largest one you've mentioned.
Yeah, so far.
Yeah.
When in fact, no, it is going to be.
A lot of cargo used for blockade running, carrying secret rebel plans. Mm-hmm. It's sometimes a diplomatic ship, but no ambassador, so that raises questions.
Yeah, it does make it sus.
It's often seen fleeing battle sites, which makes you wonder.
Sus.
Yeah.
Now, here's an interesting, a little bit of an interesting bit of trivia. According to this, you can have 600 passengers on one of these, but it only needs 7 crew to operate. That seems unusually low.
7 crew.
Yeah, 600 passengers and 7 crew.
I mean, that's comparable to the Enterprise.
I suppose so.
I think the Enterprise is a crew of 600, and you've got normally the captain, Uhura, Spock, Sulu, and Chekhov.
But that's a crew of 600 and a primary crew of 7. This is a crew of 7 and 600 just people on it.
Yeah.
It's mad.
Okay, that is, maybe it's bigger than you realise, which makes a Star Destroyer even bigger.
If you had to ballpark a figure based on the estimates so far, what would you say?
What was the highest one we've had so far?
Highest one so far is 217,000 for the X-Wing.
400.
400,000?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. It's quite a bit higher than that. That's why I made a face. It was reflex. 4.6 million.
Oh, it was close. I had a 4 in it.
I mean, I'm not sure what they're comparing it to in the real world that would give them that sort of...
I don't know.
Yeah.
No. What would you think it probably is the most expensive ship out there to insure?
It's got to be the Executor, surely.
I would say the Death Star 2, because you've really blown up one.
That's true. Yeah, you've already written one off as far as... In terms of insurance lingo, one's been written off. Now, you can say it's the other driver's fault.
Yeah. So, what is your occupation? Evil. Yeah. Oh, you're actually the living embodiment of all evil. Yes.
Yeah. Indeed. So,
is this one going to blow up planets as well? No, just capital ships.
Yeah, just I mean,
ones.
Yeah, once it's
not small.
Yeah, yeah. So the kind of cost $4.6 million to insure. Yeah, we're going to bring their bill up for a change. And then the last one is the Millennium Falcon, which they have decided between their office is the most popular ship and the best one, which is fair to say.
Totally fair. I mean, I do like the time advanced, but yeah, Falcon is for Falcon.
Oh, time advanced. To be clear, this is the Han Solo era, so it's not the Solo era. It's the New Hope onwards.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
They credit it as having appeared in Revenge of the Sith, which is a sweet little extra touch.
It is.
Yeah. But although there are other YT-1300s in Episode 2, so theoretically the fact that it was definitely the Millennium Falcon is no longer canon. So.
I was under the impression it was, but okay.
No, it was in the James Luceno Millennium Falcon book.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. But, how much do you reckon on the Falcon?
Yeah, probably comparable to Slave One for exactly the same reasons.
Okay. So it's a little higher.
Oh, okay.
Mainly because of his own... By his own words, he's made a lot of modifications.
A lot of under the counter dealings and secret cargo holds and cloaks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they've estimated that at 414,000.
Okay.
So here's the thing. So this is the methodology, right? So I'm going to read this kind of more or less verbatim.
Okay. Cool.
We started off researching each of our 8 chosen vehicles so that we could create a profile, much like our own systems do. Our profiles were generated by considering normal things such as weight and size, as well as factors we had to use artistic license to assign value to, such as maximum speed and atmosphere. Why they can't get that from a car, I don't know. But luckily, fans from all over regularly contribute to databases by compiling insights gleaned from the movies themselves and from the wealth of official books, fan fictions, publicity materials, and toys. When it comes to insurance, there's 2 main things to consider: what and who. We worked out what, now it was time for who. Creating profiles for each of our 8 pilots was actually easier than the vehicles because there are fewer categories to consider and more information can be gathered through educated guesses. The only issue we had was working out what to do when we simply could not find a certain piece of information. When this happened, as it did with Sebulba's age, we simply assigned the top-level weighting to this element, the cost of which hopefully covers any risk. This is the bit that I find really impressive. Mm-hmm. Once we'd worked out our vehicle and character profiles, we could create an algorithm to generate a price to insure the vehicle for a year. That's for a year. $4.6 million a year to insure that Corvette. Mad. You'd hope that if you drove that steadily, then it'd go down in the second year. But one galactic credit is worth roughly 50 cents or 37p, giving us the ability to convert our generated cost into something a little more earthly. Based on what? I mean, it's impressive, don't get me wrong. But, I just found that strange. I got sent it from a PR company in the week, and I just thought it was quite charming. So, thought I'd share that with you and share that with the listeners. And
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's good fun.
Yeah.
So our next question is a Weibel's wondering.
Woo!
What if Temin Snap Wexley helps C-3PO by adding combat programming?
Right. But
the moves of a Clone Wars cyborg general assert themselves, and Grievous takes over temporarily. That would explain the red eyes. It would actually be an interesting internal struggle. So, I have a thought on this. So, I feel like we've had a version of this question somewhere in the previous mix. So, I'm going to get a slightly different take.
Okay.
Or try and attempt to get a slightly different take by reframing the question. How likely do you think it is that scene, bearing in mind, obviously, the only bit we've seen in the trailer is the sad bit where he's sort of... It seems like he's looking around at Finn, Rey and Poe saying goodbye to my friends, even though he doesn't know them. But everybody seems to be thinking that he's actually scanning his memories, which makes far more sense, and I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Do you think shortly before that scene they play for laughs, or shortly after, and have something like, it could be a really quick, while they're sort of cycling through personalities, looking for the right one, you could get a Grievous voice pop in as like a bit of fan service.
I mean, the Grievous was biological based, so it doesn't really make sense for me that he would. And he had never had any dealings with Grievous. It seems weird to me. If you were going to do something like that, for laughs, like just a quick sound bite, I'll just have him make a gonk droid noise.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that could be... That's kind of what I'm wondering. Not necessarily Grievous.
Yeah.
But do you think they might kind of shortly before or shortly after that poignant scene play it for laughs?
Yeah, or do a probe droid noise, because he does actually listen into a probe droid signal.
He does, that's true. I mean, it depends on, let's say, it very much depends on the presentation.
Or just a really, really kick-ass Natalie Portman impression.
That would be impressive.
But from Leon, which is a bit weird. But,
that is weird, yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you water that plant? It just says that. What is it with that plant? that's a line, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah. You and your plant.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, Grievous... I mean, I love General Grievous. He's one of my favourite characters in Star Wars, but I'm not sure this is a window that would work beyond... it would probably work and then irritate you in exactly the same way Everson and Bontebubba turning up in Rogue One works and then irritates you immediately afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, it makes perfect sense in so much as they are characters who are in the area, who are in the universe at the time, but there's no reason for them to be there besides fan service.
There you go.
And it's a little bit too tidy that they're suddenly then like, oh, we're going to Tatooine. I hope nothing bad happens to us there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It almost feels like that scene was cut, doesn't it? Like just a scene of them flying away going, wow, that was a close one. Well, guess we're going to go to Tatooine. Nothing bad will happen there.
Slide whistle.
And then you see Ponda Barber just big thumbs up, like with the arm that's then, taken away from him.
Explain the red eyes. The red eyes thing.
There may be nothing to it. It may be an instant kind of flash and they're gone.
Yeah, they've picked up on that and just got to put that in the trailer. That'll create some sort of speculation. Yeah, it may be.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Dark Ray thing. But I feel like that's not going to be a thing.
No, with the more material I've seen, the less convinced I am that the Dark Ray thing is a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. In fact, that's just made me realise something about the new trailer as well, but I'll talk to you about that off air.
All right, fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah. So then our next question comes from Michael in Sydney. And Michael writes, G'day, Rob and Brad.
G'day, Michael in Sydney.
A quickie from me this week. Can I get an oh my?
No.
Clearly you can, because I just did it.
All right, yeah.
A game of Would You Rather.
Okay.
Would you rather have the next Star Wars story, A, set 5 years after Episode 9, B, 30 years after 9, or C, 100 years later?
It's the tamest game of Would You Rather I've ever played.
Offering some of my own ponderings, I'd imagine Rey, presuming she's alive at the end of Rise of Skywalker, would be training someone or someones in a few years.
Right.
In 30, I'd imagine Rey would command a school, and graduates, good and bad, have left to find their place in the universe. Maybe we start arriving at where Jedi's become the lawkeepers for the Senate again. In 100 years, anything goes. Rey's teachings have been passed down through time, and I'd imagine we've passed through many a universal turmoil. Personally, I like to leap forward 100 years, so option 3 would be my pick. I really like the idea that fandom is thrown into the midst of a universal super war where Force wielders have collapsed the Republic and rule over territories. The added bonus is that as real-world time passes, an aged Daisy Ridley could return to the screen and fill the storyboard of how we arrived from The Rise of Skywalker to Star Wars, title to be confirmed.
I feel like we've been here before.
Looking forward to how you tackle the question and likely scenarios that would fit the time jumps. All the best, Michael from Sydney.
He is the best Michael from Sydney.
I was going to say, it just as always, I have to clarify that he's not just saying that all the best Michael from Sydney.
No, I've checked. He's the best Michael in Sydney.
Yeah, but there are some good ones that are from elsewhere as well. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, that's great. But I'm saying he's the best Michael from Sydney.
Oh, that's definitely without question. I mean, he's the only one who writes to us.
And everything.
Yeah, he's the only one who writes to us, so that just qualifies him automatically.
That was the deciding factor.
That is by deed poll, or whatever, however the kids say.
Probably about 30 years for me.
Okay.
I think it kind of fits the pattern.
Yeah.
Of it being kind of a divergence in the Force every 30 years or so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Basically like a generation's worth.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a generation or two. Kind of.
Yeah, we want some kind of, I mean, even in the older you, when they did the far-flung, way in the past or way in the future stuff, there were still some touchstones.
Yes. That
tied it all together. Mm-hmm. And even like Legacy was, I think it was 140 years after.
Yeah, something like that. Between 120 and 140.
Followed the Skywalker bloodline, the Solo bloodline. There were recognisable names, like I think Oh, help me out here. Cynthia Fell's line was referenced.
Yes.
Stuff like that. So
what was his name? Rowan Fell.
Yeah. So there were still ties in. It still felt familiar but new.
Yeah.
If any of these guys aren't bothered about Hard Canon, Legacy was a fabulous series, well worth a read.
You can get it on Comixology and other digital comic outlets as well.
Yeah, and Marvel Unlimited has it as well.
Yes.
Yes. It's that was great for me. 30 years would be good because we'd still, 100 years, it would be so far removed.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be able to use any actors really, apart from maybe Jonas Suotomo.
Mm-hmm.
Still.
Yeah, you could get away with that.
Assuming Chewbacca survives.
Yeah.
Episode 9.
Fair.
There would be no real ties in to anything, I don't think. Even you'd hope even Darth Vader's name would be dust by that point at the stuff.
Plus, it's going to be harder to explain how they brought Palpatine back again. Assuming they did that, obviously.
Yeah, well, he's just a pop-up Sith Lord now, isn't he?
Booyah!
Pop-up Darth Slap, yeah.
Yeah, pop-up Darth Slap. Slapatine.
There we go.
Yeah. Darth Slapatine is his new...
Yeah. Sheev time.
It's Sheev o'clock.
Yeah. That too far away. If they're going to do 100 years in the future, they might as well not even make it a Star Wars movie and just do something totally new.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of my take as well.
Some kind of thread, I think.
Yeah, it's harder to connect the dots.
What I like to see, I want Vong.
Okay.
That would be, we've kind of, there's, without wanting to upset people who are dedicated, diehard sequel trilogy fans, there's a lot of a sequel trilogy does feel like it's been borrowed from the original trilogy. It's not evolved the universe or the story as much as I would have liked to have seen. But it's fine. It is what it is.
Exactly. It is what it is, and there's certainly stuff to enjoy in there. So it's not like it's bereft of enjoyment.
It is, but it wouldn't be what I would have done if you said to me, "Here, go write this. Take all this money and go write a sequel trilogy." Yeah.
For a start, we've established there would be Vong in it.
Yeah, totally.
Or something to that effect.
The reason they use them Vong word was because they were new. The old up till the Del Rey took over. So we have the Thrawn trilogy, which was great, and you have the Thrawn duology at the end, which was similarly great. Yeah. And the bulk of the stuff, there was some good books and some good stories in there, but the bulk of it was not good.
Yeah.
The bulk of it was limp. You have is it Callista Ming?
Was it Ming?
Luke's pseudo girlfriend.
Yeah, Callista was definitely her first name. I think you're right. I think it was Ming. Yeah.
Yeah, was awful. You could probably count the really good books on one. So the Jedi Academy trilogy, Courtship of Princess Leia, Darksaber, and maybe New Rebellion, but the rest of it was pretty repetitive. It was I think there's one of the later books, it might be like the Corellian trilogy or the Black Fleet Crawl, one of the really bad ones, where it was just Han says, "Oh no, not another super," and it felt like every book or every trilogy was another super weapon. Dark Empire did that to death as well, and it was like 30 years of them still fighting. Another Imperial admiral has taken over and claims they're going to storm it. Another super weapon, another one of Palpatine's super weapons. Another Sith relic, and it got very repetitive. Vector Prime shook that up because it did something totally new. It was and it was a long series, and not all of it was great because the series that run for that length, not all of it can be great, but the high points were so high it carried the low points.
Yeah, there was also some weird format experiments they did because keep in mind this was in the days before ebooks were so prevalent.
Yeah, they did some.
There was one that was exclusive.
It was
very short as well.
Very forward for Star Wars. Star Wars has never been the best at adopting new media. And because, how long did it take Star Wars to come out on DVD? How long did it take Star Wars to come out on Blu-ray? They've always
Blu-ray was so long.
the DVD took forever. They've always been very reluctant to adopt new media. Disney changed that. As soon as Disney got the license, bang, here it is on iTunes and other digital distributors.
I think the Blu-ray was already out by then, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. But Lucasfilm always seemed on the back foot, and Disney seemed to have put a stop to that.
Yeah, which is, I mean, on the one hand, yes, I agree. But on the other hand, there is still a lot of stuff that's missing for me. So things like, for instance, Resistance. Resistance is still not on iTunes last time I checked, which is weird.
Yeah, I meant more in terms of adopting new medium.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Rather than bringing new shows on.
I gotcha. But I mean, isn't that a form of adoption of the medium? Like actually putting your stuff on there?
I do agree it should be up and out over here, but I'm not an expert on TV contract law or anything like that, so there could be a myriad number of reasons why they can't.
Oh, sure. I mean, they're probably likely very similar to the ones that are stopping Disney Plus from coming out and at the same time. My only thing about it is, I don't know much about contracts, but I know they can be bought out. Yeah. And that means that it's either too expensive or they just don't want to.
Yeah, but it also seems weird to me that, Clone Wars ran on Nickelodeon, I think, originally.
Cartoon Network, I think.
Cartoon Network, sorry. And so I could have understood if so many months needed to run between it finishing on Cartoon Network and then being able to sell it on physical media for digital download.
Makes sense.
But Resistance is on Disney XD. They own and manage those contracts, surely.
You would think, yeah.
Surely it's their show on their channel. They should. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe unless advertisers or syndication does kind of tie their hands a little, but it seems a strange thing to me.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I see what you mean. I think it's possible that the syndication stuff could be more of a hindrance than a help. Certainly. Yeah. But I mean, with digital services, I mean, we're watching something on. What's the one? Is it All 4? The Channel 4 one in the UK? And the ad breaks in between. There were so many.
Oh, the 4OD's really bad for it. Yeah,
it's just they're everywhere. And I just thought, well, what? I understand the need for it because obviously you can't just swap out. You can't just remove a revenue stream and then still survive as a company. That's not how business generally works. I get it. But it feels more intrusive than TV ads. I don't know if that's just because of just because we're used to them by now because they've been around for so long.
Certainly stuff. I mean, some Channel 4 will put a lot of their shows up for free on their YouTube channels. So stuff like Peep Show or Father Ted and some of these really good Black Books. These really great comedies. Yeah. Channel 4 churned out over the last 20 years or so, really good. Or Dark Places on YouTube. What better use for YouTube is there?
If there is one, I haven't figured it out.
None taken. And there's I think it's when they're done on TV, they have buffers and bumpers built in, so they know, an advert is going to happen around here. I think YouTube might take some of that control away from them and decide where it's going to put adverts.
I get the feeling that, I mean, I haven't placed ads in YouTube. I don't think I've ever been able to. I know that other platforms that allow you to place ads give you a choice of where approximately you can put it. So you can sort of say, like, I want it to be at this specific point, but I don't know that YouTube has that flexibility. And, I don't know with the answer to that one. But anyway, so kind of circling back to the question, I would be inclined to agree with you in terms of time frame. I think 30 years is a good amount. 5 years is not enough time for anything to happen, really. It would just it would almost kind of run the risk of going into that Legends thing where it's like, super weapon du jour.
Another first order leader.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, even if that happened, I don't know that we'd fear them because, Snoke.
Well, I don't fear them anyway. So, yeah.
Sure. But I mean, ultimately,
But they're just actors. They can't hurt me.
You say that, but there was that time.
Oh, J.J. Abrams once kicked the shit at me. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Lest we forget. Lest we forget that. But, I mean, I'm surprised you haven't forgotten that. He hit you quite hard. But, yeah, in terms of See, the thing is, when we get asked questions about like where do you want to go forwards, I always want to go backwards. I like that whole Old Republic play space. Show us. Don't do anything obvious. Like, don't show us the formation of Republic. Do something like Master and Apprentice. It was just a story set in the Galactic Republic.
Yeah. Or Jedi Lost. It was just a story set during that period. It didn't have to be culture defining. It didn't have to be of massive historical significance. It can just be a Star Wars story set in a part or time of a Star Wars universe we haven't seen before. Not everything. The movies need to push these stuff forward. The comics and the books and the video games are there for world building. Yeah, and immersing yourself more in it. When they decide to when they finally decide to pull the plug on these movies, then probably what will happen is what happened with the EU is the books and the comics will start taking more of an initiative. But until that time, they should be world building.
Yeah, agreed. I think there will be a period of it has to be at this point a couple of years of world building. It's only going to be done through comics and books because there's nothing else on the docket until, Yeah, which is fine. Some of my favourite bits of Star Wars have been the comics and books.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it does,
we're discussing what kind of 2020 looks like in the Talk Star Wars landscape after the film comes out. And after there's been a bit of time for the dust to settle. And obviously, once we have a kind of clear idea of what that means, we will share. But, it will. I mean, if it takes a new form, it will most likely have some books and comics involved because there won't be much else to talk about. It's fair to say, I think, unless they do some DLC for Fallen Order. But then I've got to finish the base game first, and that's going to take me a while because I'm rubbish at it.
It just goes on, and I can talk about Legion and Armada, but I feel like there's a better venue for that.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to talk about it in very, 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 very soon indeed. So, Michael, thank you very much for that question.
Yeah.
As always, obviously, it's really... Michael has these lovely kind of whimsical takes on Star Wars things. Like, he's the guy who's often sent in the things like the paintball teams and the five-a-sides and things like that.
I enjoy
They're
that,
fun, and I just... it goes without saying, I think, and I hope at least, that it's always wonderful to hear from people with questions and thoughts on the show and all that stuff, right? And then, even if, and I've had this happen in the last couple of months where, we've had a bit of a rough episode in terms of like, we've just kind of sounded like we're ragging on certain things more than we normally would. And that sometimes it kind of happens organically because of the conversations we're having. Sometimes we can just be a bit tired and a bit grumpy, and that's fair, and everybody kind of feels that way sometimes. It happens, but, so it's always lovely to hear from people who've got questions and kind of stuff, especially stuff that sort of takes us out of the usual realm and is just, especially the really kind of whimsical fun stuff. So please keep it up. Even if, in the future, the Talk Star Wars 2020 landscape is different in some way, don't let it put you off sending in these lovely questions to kind of keep us churning, because otherwise our brains they'll just wear out from lack of use, which is a weird thing to happen, but that's the world. But we have come to the end of our list of listener questions, so unless you have any other kind of bits you wanted to kind of broach, then I think we're good to kind of put this in the books.
No, I think we're good. Yeah,
groovy. Yeah, I mean, cool. I'm happy. It's good.
Really? That makes change.
Yeah, I know. Well, last week, like I say, last week feels like the kind of response from last week has left me feeling quite encouraged.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much for listening to Talk Star Wars this week. Talk Star Wars is a production of emotionally14.com. And as you may have guessed, there's a website, emotionally14.com, which is tied into that. So, Talk Star Wars is available as a podcast anywhere you get your podcasts, except for Pandora, because as we established last week, they don't take extra US submissions, which is a shame. But, there's only so much I can do about that besides moving, and that is expensive for, so many reasons. But Talk Star Wars is on most places you can get your podcasts. To name a few: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, all that jazz. And we are also, let's say, on emotionally14.com, and you can also go to talkstarwars.co.uk every Monday, and you can get the episodes directly there from the webpage that just goes straight to the podcast page on Spreaker. If you want to get them a couple of days earlier, and you can spare as little as $1 a month, for the privilege, then you can join patreon.com/talkstarwars and join the dozens of people who are already enjoying their ad-free early episodes. And I feel like you'll want to do that in December if you get the chance, because I'm going to say it now. I'm going to officially announce it. On the 19th of December, the patrons are going to get a commentary of the Star Wars Holiday Special performed by Rob Cast, Commander Cody of the Rogue Squadron podcast, and Matt Salvatore, who is watching it for the first time live.
Wow.
It's fantastic. It is everything you could possibly imagine it would be, and then some. So 19th of December is going to be when the patrons are going to get that, and the 27th is when it's going to drop on the main feed, because it felt weird putting it on Boxing Day, because I feel like it will just get lost in the mix, which understandably so, with Christmas being sort of, that kind of, that sort of, those few days are going to be busy enough. So I decided 27th of December, you can look forward to that if you're on the main feed. But if you can't wait until then, the 19th is within your grasp. And all you have to do is join us over at patreon.com/talkstarwars for as little as $1 a month, which also gives you access to ad-free versions of all the Talk Star Wars podcasts while you are a subscriber. I feel like I normally go on to say something else before I get to you, but I can't think of anything. So, Brad, tell us where people can find you on social media. It's social media, but I'll do it in a minute.
Sure. If anyone else can be bothered, you can also check out my other Star Wars themed show for Emotionally 14, which is Fire When Ready, Adventures in Star Wars and Tabletop Gaming. You can find all episodes of that at emotionally14.com and on Emotionally 14's YouTube channel. And you can find the show on Facebook and Instagram at Fire When Ready UK if you enjoy toy soldiers, Star Wars, and us playing with them. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Brad Harmer Barnes, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at RealBradHB. And if you're feeling so inclined, you can, of course, buy my books through Audible and Amazon.
Yes, you can, and you can do so on talkstarwars.co.uk. No, sorry, on emotionally14.com on a Monday. Talk Star Wars has a post on a Monday morning to let you know the new episode's there. You can always subscribe on the RSS feed. That's a nice way of doing it. And you'll get a link that you can use to go to Amazon where the books are kind of nicely sort of separated out so you can buy them directly. Nice way of doing it. I think it's a good system, I think. If you want to follow what I'm doing on social media, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at RobWadeVision, and you can also follow Emotionally 14 and Talk Star Wars at Emotionally 14 and at Talk Star Wars respectively. There are Facebook pages, and there are some connected groups, and a few lovely people in there who have a chat every now and then, which is always nice. But as I say, the main place where everything kind of funnels from is emotionally14.com. I would be remiss, as always, if I didn't acknowledge the wonderful podcast of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network, of which Talk Star Wars is a proud member. So we also are joined by Tumbling Saber, Generation X-Wing, The Nerd Room, Rogue Squadron Podcast, the San Diego Sabres Radio Podcast, Retro Inc., and the Sandcrawler Cast. So those wonderful 8 outlets produce shows every week that are there to delight you. So take advantage by visiting StarWarsCommonwealth.com on the web and take your first steps into a larger world. We will see you next week for Talk Star Wars. Now, next week, we'll probably have both seen the film. By the time we record, we'll probably both seen the film. So episode 194 could well be the review special. So, we will see you either way, regardless of what happens with episode 194, whether it's 195 that drops kind of somewhere between the usual release dates, because obviously we don't want to hang on to that for too long. We will see you next week for episode 194. In the meantime, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and as always, may the Force be with you.